Well, howdy ho, good neighbor. That's right. It's apparent that we were flying high above Oakland, California. Let's get this drone all lined up and headed to Oakland, and then we're gonna fly high over Oakland, California. But first, we got to get above the trees and the power lines. Like I've said, the enemy of the drone is the tree, the power line, and the bird. And the bird, well, that bird is still here, but we'll try to avoid it the best we can. But look at this. Where did it go? Where is it? Oh my goodness, all 3 smokestacks are gone. And the Oakland glass plant is just about finished. Finito. No more left. Adios, amigo. But not quite yet. No. There's still this massive building that still needs to be torn down. Now, I tell you what, it seems like they tore off the side walls of this thing, but they have these big, I want to call them boilers in there they're going to have to contend with. So who knew that that building had such equipment in it? You thought it was just a warehouse, but no. It's got big tanks of some sort in there. I don't know what those tanks are, but they are something to to produce energy for the glass plant, or maybe to furnace the glass. Maybe they're big furnaces, because they were right next to the smokestack. So if you know what those furnaces are inside that building, boy, I bet you that was a hot one when it was going. But there you go. The Oakland glass plant. All the acreage is just about ready to be busted up and cleared out. So it sure does look different without those smokestacks on it, that's for sure. Well, like I said, the next phase of this thing is going to be a whole bunch of jackhammers. And the reason I backed off of this site like that is that bird was chasing me. And I got a good shot of all the acreage. So there you go, in one shot. That used to be full of buildings, but now it's full of rubble and old metal, rusted metal that will be turned into new metal after it's shipped overseas and melted down and resold and shipped back overseas. Isn't that funny? So all that metal is going to get shipped right down the road and put on a barge. Or should I say that, a container ship. That's more like it. And then it'll be shipped to China and melted and sold back to the USA or other growing countries. But I will tell you what, that you've heard me say it before, that the neighbors have been complaining about the dust. So you imagine tearing down a building from the 1940s. Well, there's a lot of old rust and dust. So they have to keep this job site wet 24 hours a day. Now, I was just thinking about this. While water is so precious in California, how much water are we wasting just for the dust control of this project? So are we in a drought? Are we not in a drought? And if we are in a drought, then why are we wasting all this fresh water to spray on concrete and to evaporate. I will never know the reasons they tell us to conserve water while they waste it. So I don't know if it's a lie. Probably, they don't tell the truth. So when you get caught in a lie, now no one believes you. So you can see that he does conserve water where he is. And if you can look closely, you can see that bird shadow chasing me. So the whole time I'm droning, a bird is chasing me. So I had to lift up into the air and get out of his airspace. But boy, is that scary to have a bird chase you down. But back to the water situation. Look at all those houses using water, and there is just more water waste than you know. And where does it all come from? From miles away. And here we are just wasting it on concrete. All right, I'll get off my water horse, but you know what they say, whiskey's for drinking and water's worth fighting for, because a lot of people fight over the use of water rights. And if you think about it, California is a desert. We just ship our water from the Colorado all the way to Los Angeles, which is a desert, and you have all the lawns and golf courses and people, and yeah, a lot of water. That's called God's gold. If it wasn't for water, boy, we would all perish. Okay, I said I'm getting off the water high horse, but boy, is it a valuable thing. Now you got some more water wasting here. Why is this tank just dumping water? You got the mister on one side that's blowing water on this, but why is he just doing that? Those are those tanks that they're going to have to deal with soon. So hopefully I'll get the drone out while they're deconstructing that stuff. But you can see there's some big, I want to call it 4 tanks on each side. So these large furnace tanks, they ripped the sides of the walls off, but they left these tanks. So that could be toxic, or it could be just a special teardown. Yeah. So this building is not getting tore up like it's supposed to. It's a little bit different than all the rest of them just because of that situation. So I do apologize because there's not very much action, but a couple water trucks. You know, the action really makes it when they have the big equipment like this one working on the building. But I've already caught plenty of picking through videos where this guy just picks through the metal and separates it. So, but I sure would like to see that piece of equipment tearing down the big building. That's what makes a video. But some days you don't get anything, and some days you get a home run with a big building being torn down. But today I just got a little hit. Not much of a double, not much of a triple, just a single. I guess that's what water trucks are. They add a little bit of activity to the job site, but I like to see the demolition of that big building. So I'll keep my eye out for it, and hopefully I always have my drone charged up, because you never know when you see something interesting and you got to run out to film it. So that's a secret to all you drone owners, is always keep a full battery charge, so in case you see something you can go and film it real quick. So I'll keep an eye on this glass plant, and hopefully they'll get to tearing it down so we can make one last video of this Oakland glass plant. Going going, gone. That's right. It's been a while of me filming these series. Every other week or so I try to get out there, and boy, has it really changed. The whole area around here, new streets, and just everything changes. No one likes change. Well, we'll give this little project one last little look-see-loo. But like I said, right here is where I'm running from that bird. So I don't know where that bird is, so I apologize for my flying right now. I'm flying backwards looking for that bird. There he is, or her. But boy, is it hard to get a good, nice shot. I would like to fly down low and get these shots down low, but that bird will knock my drone out of the air. So you see how they gotta deal with these tanks inside there. So this is what I want to see, deconstruction. And when I'm flying my drone down like this, very low and slow, well, I'm vulnerable to bird attacks. But you can see all that's wet up in there, so they do got some good dust control going there. But that's what's left. That part of the building should be easy tear down. Well, take that back. Nothing's easy. Like I said, just getting out of bed's not easy, so that'll be less difficult than those big tanks, I would imagine. Now, the only thing I could imagine those tanks being are like large furnaces where they had, it just seems like they were really hot at one time. Hence the rust and the vents on the roof. But you'd think that somebody would like to save one of those old vents on the roof because just for historical purposes, but they won't. That's just trash, trash, trash. I don't think anything on this job has been saved for historical purposes, so it's kind of sad to say that, but there's what I want to see torn down, and there's that bird I'm trying to dodge. You see that bird? Again. I'm going to have to give that old bird a name. Yeah, what can we name a seagull like that? I don't know, but every time I'm doing a big up fly out shot, it's because I got chased away by a seagull. Sammy the seagull, how about that? Okay, Sammy, you won, but I'll be back. So if you're going to build something in Oakland, California, well, I have about 25 acres. I don't know how many acres is that. I'm not very good at acres, but I know that it's a lot. So that used to be a big lot of buildings, and now we got one little one left. Well, we'll give it one last flyby just to make that Sammy the seagull upset. You know, I always like to push the limits to my fear factor. So Sammy the seagull, I'm going to give you one last flyby and look at what's left at the Oakland glass plant. And the men who work on it. There he is. He's one of the water watchers. Probably that's his job, to make everything wet. And if you look real close, you can see there's tunnels that go underneath that building. So if you're an urban explorer, what's underneath there? I don't know. I would be curious to find out with the flashlight or even a drone, but I don't know. I'm not that. I don't want to take that big of a risk. No way, Jose. All right, well, this video getting a little long enough, but here's one of those vents that I wanted to save. See how those things turn up there? If you look real close, they turn. See that? I never noticed that they turn. That would make a neat art project, or I don't know. That save that thing if you can. They won't. And it looks like somebody left a couple ladders on the top of that thing that they'll never get down now. And to tell you the truth, those ladders are probably all old and busted up. But that's a couple 6-foot ladders up there. At one time, I guess the maintenance crew was tearing out whatever was up there, and they just left their ladders and walked away. So that'll be a good tear down right there, a good tank. But there's that bird chasing me. I had to get out of there. Sammy the seagull. We're going to not call him that bird anymore. Sammy the seagull. That sucker. Yeah, trying to make Sammy the seagull the sucker. All right, there you go. I gave you one little last zoom in. I broke out my good zoom lens from far away and tried to use that so I would stay out of Sammy the seagull's way. And you can see that those big tanks have doors on the bottom of them, so there must be a way to get inside of those tanks. So that'll be neat to see that come down. But a lot of times I'm at work and I'm not able to see it until it's all done. So, all right, Sammy the seagull, you won again. If I'm backing off, that means I got too close. But yeah, you can really see inside there with that zoom lens. It just amazes me that people used to work right there where I'm staring at, going up those stairs to check on the temperature or something. I don't know what they did there, but a lot of people worked there. Now they're gone. It's sad to see that this country is moving on from hard-working blue-collar jobs to people that work and stare at screens. I don't know if there's a good thing about that, but I think there is a good thing about working with your hands. Well, there you go. One last look at the rubble of the Oakland glass plant. Now, all that's got to get moved out. You know that. And then they got to bust up all that concrete underneath that rubble. And then they got to get rid of all this. And they're working on it. That pile used to be a lot bigger. So if you think you're looking at rusted metal right there, no. That is big time dollar money. That's right. Big time dollar money. That's what they say in China. So big time dollar money. Couple little small piles to clean up over here. And then we got to fill in this big old hole full of dirt. So just like a swimming pool, they'll fill that hole in full of dirt and compact that up and seal up those holes. And this is the last building. Look at it now before it's gone. That's right. The last look at the rusty tower with the 2 ladders on top. You'll never see that shot again because this place is coming down quick. All right, well, that's it for this little adventure, the Oakland glass plant adventure. What a sight to see. One building left and no smokestacks. The smokestacks are gone. I took a video of 2 of them going down, but that last one, it came down fast and I didn't even get that one. But there you go. Oakland glass plant with the rowers rowing under the bridge. All right. Well, as always, I want to thank you again for coming along with me on these Oakland glass plant going, gone adventures. Almost completely gone. All right, stay tuned for I will guess only 2 more videos on this series. I don't know. Then we'll have to start a new series. What's going to get built there? I don't know. Only God knows. All right. Well, as always, I want to thank you again for coming along with me on these glass plan adventures. You know the drill. Peace, love, and all that hippie jazz. Bye-bye, everybody.